Good morning, my wonderful, extremely intelligent friends. Have you ever had a gut feeling, a gut instinct? Well, what does that mean? Your guts run your body. It's called the vagus nerve, and let's check it out. What my statement is that this is the interface between your guts and your brain. And all of these fabrics and fibers coming down that invest themselves into all of these coils and tubes, which are your intestines, they control you by telling the intestines and the bacteria what products you need to be healthy. And if you do not have the bacteria here, you will not be healthy. Simple as that. Okay, this is extremely brief and exactly perfect. It says the vagus nerve, and I will show it to you in a minute, is the longest cranial nerve. Cranial is your brain. Well, that goes all the way down to your guts. It contains motor and sensory fibers. What are motor fibers? Those are the things that make you be able to touch and feel and all that. Sensory fibers, the feeling part of motor activities. And because it passes through the neck and thorax to the abdomen and your guts, has the widest distribution in the body. That is your... That's the entire processing center of your body. It controls your guts and tells what products those bacteria need to make down there. Simple as that. And it has the widest distribution. It contains somatic and visceral afferent fibers, as well as general and special visceral efferent fibers. That means that those are the fibers that dig in and get signals. All right, so what are efferent fibers? Those are the things that make your body just do what it's supposed to all the time. Autonomic, do it. It knows exactly what to do. They are autonomic efferent fibers. Refers to the efferent neurons of the autonomic nervous system that provide motor intervention to smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, glands, all that stuff through post-ganglionic varicosities. Well, obviously. I don't imagine you're really up on your post-ganglionic sympathetic fibers, so let's see what they are. Typically, these long fibers from the sympathetic chain, what's a sympathetic chain? To the target organ, where they are terminated with bulbous enlargements called varicosities. That's where they dump their program. The modified axon endings release a neurotransmitter, in the case of sympathetic nervous system, neuroepinephrine, into its surroundings. So they're saying it releases a neurotransmitter. Well, what is a neurotransmitter? So now they're saying that it's a chemical substance released at the end of a nerve fiber by the arrival of a nerve impulse and by diffusing across the synapse, or the junction, causes the transfer of the impulse to another nerve fiber, a muscle fiber, or some other structure. So what they are saying is there's a nerve impulse. Well, what is a nerve impulse? At the end of the nerve fiber, a nerve impulse. So it must be electrical signal, nerve impulse. And by diffusing across the synapse, or the synapse, which is the junction, it causes transfer of the impulse to another fiber, or a muscle, or something that actually actuates something, I believe. Now, so here we have the chemistry. Neurotransmitters. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, glycine. Now, glycine is the molecule, this is a pretty important molecule, and the glyphosate I think has some effect on this. Not my area, but I believe Stephanie Seneff up at MIT is targeting glycine, glycol, and all that stuff. Now, and that's related to the Roundup, glyphosate. Now, these are all other neurotransmitters. So what does it tell you about these neurotransmitters? You need to have these molecules, and these molecules, very, very basic molecules: oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and that's about it. There's very, very, very little complexity here. So what does that tell you? It tells you should never have problems with these if you're just eating normal. I mean, there's nothing here that's complex. There's absolutely nothing here. But something actually, a bacteria, has to make a prescription to say, make a bunch of this stuff. I'm telling you, that's how it's made. The bacteria makes a little virus, enzyme, whatever you want to call it. It's a little RNA package that has an address tacked onto it, the molecule. It's created by the bacteria, and it poops it out, and it goes out into the bloodstream, and it floats around for a while, and all of a sudden it sees the same chemistry that is its address. It says, "Ooh, there you are. You're a hydroxyl, and I'm supposed to attach to you." And it comes up and it says, "Oh yeah, you're the guy that's supposed to attach to me. Attach." And it goes click. And this is what happens now. Well, the membrane opens up and lets it come in, because it knew it. It said, "You're the guy with the right address. Come on in." It comes in. What happens then? There's a whole twisting little ball of proteins, and it goes and unrolls, and then the cell itself sends out a reader, and it goes and it reads it, and it says, "Okay, I know what that code means," and it says, "We will do what you asked." And then the cell begins to manufacture whatever that code that was read said to manufacture. Now, normally it's going to be something that's good for you, because it was made by a bacteria that's beneficial to you. So it says, make this molecule and send that out. And that molecule may look for lead. And it goes out and it looks for lead, and it says, "Ooh, there's some lead," and it goes over, click, and it attaches to the lead. Then it dumps its program all over that lead, which is a molecule breaker. It says, "Okay, you're not supposed to be here." And the next thing you know, the lead is all attached to oxygens and carbon and all kinds of whatever it can attach to, that is in its broken up mode, and out of the body it goes. Now, if you don't have the bacteria in your gut to create the enzyme, to go out and go into the cell to tell the cell to make something to break the lead, you're going to be sick. That lead is going to accumulate. It's going to say, "Well, where's the molecule supposed to come down and break it up?" Well, the bacteria died, so we don't have the molecule. And they say, "Oh man, are you kidding me?" I say, "Well, why don't you tell the guy to take some probiotics? Because that'll just do exactly what that bacteria is going to do." You should have the bacteria, but if you don't have that, get some of those probiotics down here. That'll do the job. So the guy goes up to the guy's brain and says, "You know, you ought to get some probiotics, pal." And if the guy's brain is working, he'll take them. If not, he'll say, "Who the hell are you? Who are you talking to me? You talking to me? Get out of here." And that's what happens 95% of the time. The other 5%, they're healthy as hell. They're dancing on the floor. They're having a good time watching everybody else get sick. I'm telling you, take those probiotics, man. You make a big mistake. You leave those puppies out of your body. Because nobody's got a good, healthy gut anymore. You can't have it. How are you going to get a good, healthy gut now? How are you going to do it? saturated with poisons, saturated with antibiotics, saturated with vaccines, saturated with all kinds of chemicals that were never designed by God. There's no way in the world an average human being can pronounce them. And they give them to you, say, oh, take this, they're healthy for it. Let's shoot some of this stuff in your vein. Hey, how about a little chicken juice in you? That's what they're doing. They are shooting people up with things that aren't even supposed to be in your body, that God may not even accept you for having them in your body. He didn't take the people that were having sex with animals. They were all screwed up with their genes. And that's what's happening to us right now. The human DNA is just changing faster than it ever has before. Why? Why? You know, I can't seem to to go through anything anymore without getting into how messed up things are. It's absolutely amazing what they think they can do and get away with that God's going to not worry about. I mean, I don't want to start preaching, but I want to start preaching. Because if you don't hear the preaching, you're going to be in trouble. But I will mitigate my voice for the moment. All right, this is just, I mean, how much, this is the whole shooting match coming down, the gigantic nerve coming down from your brain. It goes to everywhere. It goes to your eyes, your ears, your salivary glands, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your liver, every single thing, every part of you. So, this is the part right here, the large and small intestines, that really interfaces the most. This one here is the in and out more than any of the rest of them. All right, that's how I take it. You got a lot of action going on in there. You remember that thing that was, the whole thing was like, they're showing a couple of tubes going in. No, it's not like that. There's a ton of touching to every bit of these, as you saw. And this is where you get all of this stuff is going into the intestines. It's a highway. It's a total highway. It's a back and forth highway, in and out. All right, so don't forget, this is that highway, and this is that highway going right up to the brain. All right, I haven't watched this yet. It's only 3.5 minutes long, and it's talking about the vagus nerve location, branches, and function. Now, let's see what he has to say. This is by Ken Hub. All right, thank you, Ken Hub. I'll give you a thumbs up already, buddy, for making the effort of trying. Here we go.
Hello everyone, this is Juan from Ken Hub and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to be talking about the vagus nerve.
Hey,
the very
Ken.
first thing we see here on the screen is an image of the brain as seen from an inferior view where we can see the cranial nerves emerging. This little pair of nerves highlighted in green here are what we're interested in today, as these are the two vagus nerves emerging from the brain. The vagus nerves are the 10th pair of cranial nerves, and it's the longest of the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. The name comes from the Latin and means the wandering nerve, which describes its wide distribution throughout the body, as we can see now on this image. It performs many important roles within the parasympathetic nervous system. The system is one of...
All right, before he gets into it, this looks like it's going to be fabulous. Absolutely great graphics. Now, you see this? This is what that guy was holding up before. That's the thing here. Now, all of this is where the food comes down through here, and that's molecules. And then when you come in here, they're like chunks like this. And the body says, I can't do anything with that. And he says, well, we'll get the bacteria to break it down. It's okay, break it down. And they break it down, and it's all getting broken down, and all these little bits and pieces are getting absorbed by the blood, which is coming around this, and saying, what do you got for me? Here's some oxygen, here's some of this, and here's some, you know, all the different food that you're processing. Oxygen mostly is up in the lungs and so forth, however. But it will take on virtually every bit of chemicals, because everything you eat has every kind of chemistry in it. Not only that, you eat uranium. I'm telling you for a fact, every single molecule that is available is in the food supply, it is in the dirt, it is in you're going to have them. Now, you're going to have them tons, but you're going to have a few molecules here and there. And I showed today, and I will throw it into this, uranium. I know where uranium comes from now. Well, I knew where it came from before, but I can prove now where it comes from. So we will go back to that. We're going to see some uranium today too, my good friends. Now let's see what this guy has to say, because this, I'm telling you right now, if you don't have your gut in order, you might as well just go kill yourself, because you're not going to be happy, you're going to be unhappy. Don't kill yourself. You beat yourself up for a while. I'm telling you, if you don't take probiotics or get your gut in shape somehow, you're in trouble. And there's nothing, I don't think there's anybody healthy anymore that can just live on this planet Earth anymore and eat the food that's available and drink what's able to be drunk and breathe what's available to breathe and not be sick. Unless your gut somehow gets fixed. I'm seeing it. I got almost, between here is 84,000 and Facebook, I get close to 100,000 people. Zero have reported being sick. And I've been asking about it, that have taken probiotics. If you have been, I want to know it. I want to know it. Tell me you've been sick. If you've been sick and you've been taking probiotics. This I want to know. Zero have reported that. And I'm a pretty loud guy. I ask, and when I ask, I don't say anything. No, I say, who's taking probiotics? You ever been sick on them? I want to know. All right, let's go. I guess that was pretty clear.
Of the two antagonistic systems making up the autonomic nervous system, and is craniosacral, which means that it arises from the central nervous system in the cranium and from the sacral region. The vagus nerve actually carries 75% of the cranial parasympathetic function, so it's pretty vital for life. In this tutorial, we'll be describing the vagus nerve and its general course as a whole, and then we'll take a
You see where it's going? It's going to go right down there to your guts.
A closer look at the right and left vagus nerves, and finally at its three functional pathways, which include the parasympathetic efferent pathway, the motor efferent pathway, and the afferent pathways. Before we continue, it's important to remember what we mean by the terms efferent and afferent. An efferent nerve is one that carries impulses from the central nervous system to the periphery, while an afferent nerve brings signals from the periphery to the CNS, or the...
Okay, from the periphery, don't worry about that stuff. The periphery that I'm looking for is down here. These somehow, and I really can't put my finger on how this happens exactly, but somehow the brain sends down a signal to bacteria. And I mean literally to the bacteria themselves. Somehow they are getting a signal saying, make me a bunch of whatever the chemical is they need. And it's nothing more than a little chemistry set. And it's going to be a complex little molecule. It's not something to just throw a little oxygen in there. No, they're going to make some kind of fancy little protein. This is not something simple. These bacteria are chemists. All right, listen to me. They are chemists. They make programs that are programmed molecules. The molecule itself is built and twisted and touching in this way and that way, and it's exactly has a program within it. And they are the programmers, the bacteria. Now, once they get the signal from up here, it says, hey, lactobacillus, whatever, make a certain chemical. If the guy's there, he can make the chemical as long as the stuff is in your gut. But if the stuff isn't in your gut, I don't care how much bacteria you have, you're not going to be able to make it. If you're starving to death, obviously. Now, these bacteria can break down molecules that you wouldn't think can be broken down and rebuilt. That is their job as well. They are there to create molecule breakers. Basically, that's what they do. They create molecule breakers, and then which is the enzymes. Now, normally the brain is going to say, I need such and such a chemical. When it makes that chemical and it goes in, it doesn't know. It just makes it and it says, go do what you're supposed to do. When it goes out, most of the time it's going to go break something. That's what they are. They're chemistry sets that say, go out and break chemistry. Why would it break something? Well, it breaks things so that these things that are too big in your body and are nasty, it breaks them up so they can get into your lymph nodes and get flushed out and go through your kidneys and your feces and all that stuff and get out of your body. So that's the first reason they break stuff. The second reason they break stuff is you can't eat that. You're not going to eat that. It's you chobble that thing down, and then your body's going to say, "Whoa, that's too big, man. We got to break that thing up," and it does. It says, "Okay, what are we going to need to break that thing up?" Well, here, send this guy down and go get some of this stuff and that, some acids, some salts, whatever you need, and it breaks the stuff down. So at the same time, once this stuff is broken down, it's so small that you can now ingest it and get it into your body, so that it'll be traveling around, and all these little places and these little cells can take what they need to continue to make their chemistry work. Let me just go a little bit deeper with it. And we know it goes both ways. All right, so this sends back and says, all right, I did what you're supposed to tell me to do. Or this may send something back and say, hey, we got a problem. And then the brain will do whatever it's supposed to do, send something back, here's how we're going to fix it. It's a two-way deal. Very, very complicated, complex. It's absolutely amazing to think that our top physicists and chemists and all that say this all happened by accident. Dead dust exploded one day, and it all came back together and made all this elegant galaxies and solar systems, and then all this just popped up. That makes sense to me. Hold on, here we go.
The central nervous system. I also want to draw your attention to the picture here. We're viewing the body in through its left side, showing the vagus nerve highlighted in green, the structures it innervates along with their major arteries, and a few other structures to help orientate us. This is the view we'll be exploring in this tutorial. So let's start, and first we'll look at the general course of the vagus nerve. At the top of the picture here we have the cranial nerves leaving the medulla oblongata. The vagus nerve on each side passes anteriorly, then dives inferiorly to leave the skull through the jugular foramen. Through the foramen it is accompanied by the glossopharyngeal nerve, which is the 9th cranial nerve, as well as the accessory nerve, which is the 11th cranial nerve. There are two sensory ganglia in each vagus nerve at the jugular foramen, which are the superior vagal ganglion and the inferior vagal ganglion. When the three nerves pass through the jugular foramen, they go their separate ways, and the vagus nerve continues down the neck within the carotid. This video is not over yet. Continue watching now the full video at kenhub.com. We have lots more videos like this one available to our premium members on our website, not to mention all the fun quizzes, related articles, and atlas sections. So click on the button in the middle to watch the full-length video and master anatomy.
Okay, that was very good. And, you know, we don't need to watch everything right this moment. What I want to bring to you is the fact that your gut talks to your brain talks to your gut. Your bacteria somehow is in there in the middle. Bacteria makes chemistry that makes your body work. You don't have your bacteria, your body's not going to work right. So if you don't have your bacteria, at least you can put in probiotics. We use these. Everybody's had very good success on this. Like I said, at close to 100,000 people, and I've been loud asking for you know, somebody that's been sick taking probiotics. One guy says, I'm in a house with 3 people, I'm the only one that didn't get sick, and I take probiotics, and they all got sick except me. Well, 2 other ones, not all. But anyway, but I've never had anybody yet say they were sick. Had a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm doing great. Oh, I've been taking probiotics. Never get sick. All right, anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. But please, please, please take probiotics. Save your life. And it only takes a couple of days to straighten you back out. I'm telling you right now. It's that quick. All right, I love you. All right, love yourself.